Hello guys, welcome back to Custom Gamer, and today we're looking at the ElevatorVille mapping competition from Planet Phillip. This was released a little while ago, I'm a bit behind schedule, but this mapping competition, like the Doorville competition before it, was a 10-day competition, and the theme this time was you had to solve elevator puzzles in the maps. That was the main restriction. You had to have elevators in your level and you had to use them to solve puzzles of some description. So, this will be a 3-video series. We're going to look at 2 maps now, and obviously 2 in the next vid, and then 2 to finish off in the last vid. So, this first level is called Am I Safe Now by Tony DeBlasio. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. And if you remember correctly, he had an entry in the Doorville mapping competition as well, and, which I was fairly critical of. His level kind of annoyed me quite a bit actually, if I'm honest. So we'll see if he's improved at all in this one. It does look a lot nicer than his Doorville map, I can say that already, definitely. This footage you're seeing is my first run through the map. And I've got to say, while he has improved in some areas, in a lot of areas it's exactly the same problems that I had in his Doorville map as well. Things like unbreakable crates, kind of confusing and misleading visual language in the map, and kind of misusing some tropes of the Half-Life universe. But we'll get around to that as we come to them. So here I found my way inside, and because I'm an idiot I haven't spotted the crowbar on top of that crate in the corner there. So I'm actually wondering what I'm supposed to be doing right now, but that's my fault more than anything. Perhaps the crowbar could have been a little bit more obvious, but there we are, spotted it now. So again, if you remember in Doorville, in his Doorville map, there was a room with just a ton of unbreakable crates, and it seems to be continuing that in this map, unfortunately. Do we find these vents here? Yeah, this is something, it's just a minor gripe, but whenever I go in a vent and I see this like huge passage vent going forward, you know, all I can think is like, oh my god, it's going to take me ages to travel through this thing. I think that if you've got to have a large vent segment in your map, you should try and disguise that as much as possible by putting things like bends, or perhaps getting out of the vent into a small connecting room and then going back into another vent or something. Anything to break up the monotony of just crawling through a passage in a really slow manner for a long time. Ideally you would design your map so you wouldn't need to have insanely long vent segments like this, but I digress. So this is the first part that really confused me. And again, this is something I see in a lot of maps where they introduce a new gameplay element or a new kind of puzzle without any foreshadowing or forewarning or anything like that. It just kind of throws it at you. So in this case, there's actually a fuse in this thing here, I notice here, and you need to put it in the fuse box here to power it up. Now as it stands, this is a fine mechanic, but I've never seen this before in my life. Like, I've never seen the visuals, I've never had to do anything like this in the Half-Life 2 maps, so it's just completely unintuitive what you're meant to do with it. I didn't even know that it was important when I first saw it. I just thought it was like a prop in there or something. So if you're going to add new mechanics like this to levels, you need to teach the player how they work, or at least have it be so obvious that you know, anyone can work it out. Like the greatest risk you run in mapping usually is an assumption, like assuming that the player will just understand what to do, when in actual fact they probably don't. I think what might have been nice is if there was a fuse box earlier in the level where the fuse was inside and popped out as you activated something, and you had to put it back in to power it back up or something. So anything like that to show the player how the mechanic works so that you can use it later on. And I always like to refer back to Portal and Portal 2 like this. I think Valve just does a great job of teaching the player how to use all the mechanics in the in Portal. And it starts off very simple and slowly increases in complexity. As an aside, unbreakable padlocks! Why do you do this? Ah! again, this is something that was a problem in his ElevatorVille map as well, just kind of breaking level design rules. Like these padlocks, throughout Half-Life 2 and, you know, a bunch of custom maps, padlocks are there to be broken by something. Usually there's a gating mechanism to make you find a crowbar or a weapon before you can proceed. And just having them on these doors and being unbreakable, it just feels wrong. Here's another. I had quite a time trying to get into this vent. It's quite annoying actually. A nice way to kind of fix problems like that is to add like just a tiny little lip on the outside edge of the vent the player can jump onto and then just crouch and go in. That usually works. And in general, like, I don't understand what the point of coming to this room is. Okay, I picked up a machine gun, but there were no like buttons to push. There's nothing, as far as I can tell, there's nothing mission critical down here. Unless the only reason you need to come down here is to get a machine gun, but I can't really think of any reason why you actually need a machine gun to progress in this map, so it's a little bit confusing. I mean, if it's just meant to be like a side area, then, you know, that's fine, but this is ElevatorVille and you had to use an elevator to get down there, so I just kind of wonder what was actually happening there. Can't actually get out that way. Again, this is what I'm talking about with the long vent transitions. I mean, it's just, I was just holding the W key and kind of, you know, falling asleep on my keyboard right now. So yeah, add you know, even corners, just add a couple of right angled corners in the vent just to break up the ride a bit. That was a bit weird, like shooting through the glass there. I thought I was safe, but apparently not. So here's our next elevator. And this next area, if I'm remembering correctly, the next area you fight a bunch of Combine in kind of these corridors and side rooms, and I think the setup is quite nice. You've got a lot of different rooms to explore, but the problem is that the Combine spot you instantly, and you don't really have any time to get into cover or, you know, explore the environment any, and it's just a real shame. Like, it could have been a really fun area to fight in, but you end up just killing all the Combine before you've even got into a side room. It could have had this really interesting kind of cat and mouse situation here, kind of ducking in and out of doors and, you know, fighting the Combine that way. Having them flush you out with grenades and everything, but as it stands you just kind of sit in the lift and shoot them all as they come at you. I think with just a little bit of scripting of the Combine it could have been a lot better. Like if you had perhaps have those 2 or 3 at the start that you just kill, and then you know, have some more come around the corner a couple of seconds later when you've had time to explore a little bit and get into some cover. So it's probably just a pacing thing with the combat there. It's a bit of an issue. Alright, so we're going to use the food elevator, I guess this is. I don't know how I managed this, but I managed to bug it out slightly. Apparently if you jump it fixes it. Who knew? So now we're back here, and I remember from his ElevatorVille map that these kind of odd looking crates are breakable and the others aren't. So I mean, at least he's keeping consistency. I mean, okay, so he's breaking some rules of Half-Life visual level design, but at least he's consistent between maps. So now we can take out this Strider, or at least try. What I do like about this part of the combat is that he gives you enough rockets to... Oh, that was a weird rocket. He doesn't quite give you enough rockets to take out the Strider just sitting in here. I like the fact that he makes you kind of traverse around the environment to find enough ammo to take it down. That's very cool. It's a nice way to get the player to explore around a bit. So right now I'm trying to grab all these crates to find some more rockets. Unfortunately it didn't quite go to plan. Shame you couldn't get in there, just felt a bit weird. Would have been nice to get up onto a higher floor or something, just even to just get a better view of the level here. So I think eventually I just kind of give up and run around, see if there's any rockets in here. I believe I find some in here in the end. It was quite hard work trying to work out where the Strider was when you're in here. It tends to kind of move around all over the place. And now, magically, we have a padlock that does open when you hit it. That's my fit of rage as I'm playing, like, be consistent, god damn it. So you notice in here there's just a bunch of stuff, and I spot this crate, and I'm hoping it has rockets, and it does. So that's great. We've just got to find the guy. Here we are. Got to go and do a little victory dance on his corpse, of course. Alright, victory dance is over. Let's continue. So this next part was quite confusing for me. I was kind of wondering where to go next, and then I noticed the lift here in this room that didn't work. So I kind of noticed down there there's a way down, so I just kind of figured that this was the way to go. Now we'll skip past me going around pressing the use key on absolutely everything, and then I finally noticed this generator here on the outside, which was connected via a wire to the building. I just kind of figure that that's a lot of attention to detail for something that's just a prop in the environment. So I figured I was either looking for some like gas to put in the generator, or I was looking for a button to turn it on or something like that. You know, a crank handle or something. I've seen that mechanic before in maps. It turns out I was spot on with the crank handle, although it did take me absolutely ages to find it. It's kind of hidden under all this debris in here. I remember being quite angry when I was playing this level because it had taken me so long to find it, but it doesn't look so bad in this video, but I've cut a lot of footage out just to save time. Again, I think it would have been nice to perhaps have a generator, use a generator earlier in the level, have it already on, and just to show the player that generators can power lifts or something. And a lot of the level design I kind of talk about is it's an association game really. It's fairly simple stuff, like you show the player how something works and then you can start having fun with it and increasing the complexity. A lot of issues I have with level designs that I see is just kind of they throw a mechanic at the player and just expect them to understand it without any teaching whatsoever. Just introduce your mechanics slowly and in a way that players will understand, and you won't have a problem. So that was Am I Safe Now by Tony DeBlasio. The next map we're going to look at is called Ascension by Miigga. And Miigga is some kind of mapping god. He seems to just be able to just map constantly and put out high quality stuff all the time. It's quite amazing actually. So we're going to jump into his map right now. Okay, so let's get the obvious stuff out of the way, shall we? This map is beautiful to look at. The attention to detail is that classic Miigga style attention to detail. There's just clutter absolutely everywhere. There's not a single wall that isn't like covered in props or it's got grime, you know, decals, overlays all over it. It's such an amazing way to make a level feel just chock full of detail. Really nice, and his lighting as well. It's just, I can almost instantly tell the Miigga map just from looking at the lighting alone. It's It's very nice. It almost reminds me of Quake style lighting in a way. There's a lot of contrast between light and dark. It's pretty cool. Okay, so to the gameplay. This lift no work. Why? So this was really nice. Had that kind of, you know, yeehaw moment when I saw the stuff on there stopping the lift from moving. And that's a great way of a game mechanic being something that everyone can understand. Like, the lift won't move because it's got heavy objects on it. It's not particularly abstract. You just pull the objects off and it works, and you know, everyone can understand that. Really, really nice. And I just can't get over how much detail is packed into each little... I mean, this is basically just a corridor going from one area to the next, and yet it's just absolutely chock-block full of detail. It's quite amazing. I'm a big fan of Miigga's visual style. So that was our first elevator out of the way. Here's our second. And again, the solution to this next part is, it kind of builds on the first puzzle. You know that the kind of refrigerators are used as heavy objects as it stopped the lift in the first part, and now you're using the refrigerator as a heavy object to make the lift go up. So it's a nice way of reinforcing game mechanics that way, using the visuals. I like it a lot. Now, this isn't actually, this recording you're watching now is my second playthrough of this map, not the first, so unfortunately I didn't record my first playthrough. So if it looks like I'm just whizzing through everything, that'll be why. So this is nice. You get a couple of options. You get a pistol and you get the explosive barrels, so you can kind of just choose how you want to tackle that situation, which is kind of nice. On my first playthrough I didn't spot the explosives there, so I just opened it and used my pistol to take everything out. Didn't go quite as well, I'll tell you that much. So let us continue forwards. So I'm not really sure what to say really. I mean, this level is extremely polished, it looks fantastic. I mean, the gameplay is, like the puzzles and stuff, they're very simple, but they're explained very well using the environment. And he kind of he reinforces the game mechanics with each puzzle. So again, going back to the refrigerator thing, he shows you that the refrigerator's weight can affect objects in the world, and then he kind of uses that in some different ways to solve the puzzles as you go through. Again, just with the detailing on this map, all the individual floor tiles here that kind of, you know, go into this hole, it's just it's amazing to look at, really. So that powers on the lift, and this is the only part I got slightly confused with. I think what gave it away is these recesses in the wall here. It reminded me of another Miigga map I played. Oh god, what was it called? I've done a video on it. I can't remember what it was called. It was the first Miigga map I played. No, I really can't remember what it was called, but it had a section where there was a recess in the wall like this and you had to place these objects in it to climb up. So I remembered that mechanic from before, which is why I worked this out. I wonder if other players that hadn't played the map had a bit of trouble here, because it's not particularly obvious that you can pick up these floor tile things, and then even when you do pick them up it can be very, very kind of fiddly to get them into the holes here. I think perhaps what might have been nicer if they just snapped into place when you put them near the hole, like how Valve do it in some of their maps, where, you know, you pick up a physics prop and as you get close to the object you're meant to put it on, it'll actually delete the physics prop and just you know, magically appear in the where you're trying to place it, using just a prop dynamic or something. It's a bit of visual trickery going on there, but I think it would eliminate a lot of the clunkiness going on with that puzzle there. It was quite annoying to try and get everything in the hole like that. I do like the actual idea for the puzzle though, it's very cool. And I really like this outdoor area he's got at the end here. It almost felt like, it doesn't really feel like a real place, like all these buildings on the side, they almost feel like shipping containers. Like all the different colours and kind of square kind of design to them. Doesn't really feel like a, you know, a real place. It's not really a criticism, I kind of like it, it's just different. Again, it's just that kind of Miigga style. The attention to detail here is still fantastic. So we've got a nice little combat arena here just to end things on a high note. This is what I'm talking about, like in the last level I was talking about you don't really get a chance to explore the environment and move around before the combined attack, whereas here, you know, you had about, I don't know, what was it, 20 seconds to look around the environment, pick up some supplies before the combined start attacking. With the design of the arena itself, it's kind of circular in shape, so it's very easy to get around. It just creates a lot more of a dynamic environment to fight in. I did hear that some people were having an issue with this area, like the combine would they would all come from this direction and you could just kind of camp in this room and take them all out, which is a problem. I didn't encounter it on my playthrough, but I can imagine, I can see that happening. Perhaps a solution would that be to have the combine come in from different places, just have like 2 or 3 different spawn areas for them. So we get a hunter here at the end just to polish things off. I like the use of the hunter here at the end because you don't really have any super powerful weapons, so it takes a bit to bring them down when you don't have like the, you know, the AR2 or SMG grenades or anything like that. So it's quite a nice end boss. I mean, if you had like a rocket launcher or an AR2, it wouldn't be much of a fight, but it lasts a little while here. Then we can jump in the lift to exit the map. So yeah, again, simple gameplay mechanics, but just it just oozes polish from every orifice, really. Again, I really like Miigga's visual style. There are other maps in this competition pack which are more creative, for sure, in terms of game mechanics and things like that. But for sheer polish and visual fidelity, I think this map wins hands down. Alright guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Again, we've got 4 more maps coming, 2 more videos. I'll try and put them out fairly close to this one, and we'll see if I get enough time. And I will see you next time.